Hey, Soul Family. Thank you so much for joining me for this hopefully very inspiring conversation. I am your humble and grateful host, Ty Gold Alchemist. I am the co founder of New Earth Magic School, and I'm an Ascension and Abundance mentor. I'm also the very grateful and humble host of this Facebook community. So, thank you so much for being a member and thank you for receiving me. This is going to be a transmission, a channel transmission. I have received a log, a log of notes about this conversation to share with you all. It's evening for me, so I may say this evening. I am excited to go over these notes with you as well. The divine has assured me they are right here. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining me. When I channel the divine, my nose has a tendency to run. So if you see me dab at my nostril, it's actually just evidence that I am in full divine channel mode. I'm not sure why it happens. It's been that way since like 2012. It's just a thing. So, yeah, happy full moon. Thank you so much. I'm really so grateful to be sharing this conversation. As I stated before, I'm a divine channel, and one of the parties, groups, collectives that I channel is called the New Earth Business Collective. It's a collective consciousness, and they asked me to partner with them a couple of years ago. And the information that I'm going to be passing down to all of you today comes right from their mouths to your ears. So you may want to take some notes. I'm going to be delivering about 8 points of interest for us to discuss. And what I would like to do is share those with you with some conversation, and then I'll do a little bit of an overview for those of you who are note taking, just so you can make sure you have them all logged in there. And then the divine has also asked that I leave some space, some time for Q&A at the end of what I'll be sharing. So I have our time budgeted for about 90 minutes. And we'll see how it goes. These 8 points of interest, what we're calling the standards for New Earth mentorship, the standards of ethical practices. These are not new for me. I have been providing teaching around these methods for a few years now. The conversation started when I was facilitating, putting together the program, Spirit Messenger Mastery. And that's right around the time that I was receiving the tutelage. So I would say that was about 4 years ago. And then the New Earth Business Collective gave more around these conversations when I shared the workshop series with Jane Scanlon, which is going through a bit of a revamp. In the future, when we publish that again, when we roll that out, you'll want to look for the words love and legacy. That's what we're going to be sharing. So anyway, most people would have had to have paid for this information. Hi, Brandy. So good to see you. Thank you for joining me. In the past, most people previously to now would have had to invest to receive this information. And so I found it really interesting that the divine said, we would like for you to share these ethical standards and practices inside your Facebook community, and you're tithing your time and talents to offer this. So this transmission is coming to you by divine appointment. And I'm assuming if you're receiving me live or on the replay, these will be supportive insights for you to take in and feel out and see if it resonates. My sense is that many of you in the spiritual community have established a relationship with the contrast, the contrary of these, what's opposite to these standards. And so you may have a whole bunch of inner dialogue or past reflections. And the rule of thumb for me is like, when we know better, we do better. And our planet, I believe, is being inundated with a lot of light right now. Huge transfusions of light that are helping us to align to the frequencies of love and unity and being able to serve our beautiful soul's medicine with compassion. And I think that we need to employ a bit of trust building, especially in the personal development arena, the spiritual development circles. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you because we elevate our consciousness when we share these kinds of truths heart to heart. So it seems like the transmission's coming across okay. Are you guys ready and excited to hear it? I'm going to start diving in to the first point of interest that the divine would like for me to share with you. So I'm actually being guided to kind of ground in. So if you would like to do that with me, these high voltage transmissions can really cause us to feel almost like airy, flighty in our heads. Or spacey. So I'm just going to ask you to tune into heart, tune into your waistline, tune into your body, just really ground in so that you see, sense, hear, feel, and know the wisdom that is here for you to receive, understand, and appreciate throughout this transmission. Awesome. Jennifer's sharing in the past, she learned by trial and error to gain her awareness. And this is a great time to share these truths. And she's been receiving downloads about this too. Oh, I got goosebumps. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. Well, if you're feeling ready to explore some more and receive, I invite you to take this journey with me. Some of this will feel like a conversation and some of it will feel like storytelling. I love to tell stories. It's one of my methods. So I hope you appreciate that and enjoy it. Where the divine would like for me to start off with is exploring when we share our sacred invitations. I know what it's like to be a mentor or a guide, and you craft this beautiful offer or this transformation package, and we really take our time. We do a thorough evaluation of who this magic is for, who this mixture is for, who it's most aligned to equip with your support. And there are times when we go to share our sacred invitations, sharing our magic, sharing our medicine, when we go to put it out there, we are met with sometimes a no, a not now, or a not yet. And how we participate in receiving that is really important. Hi, Charmaine. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad you could be here. When you share your beautiful sacred artworks and your sacred invitations, and you are met with a no, the divine says the greatest way to hold the integrity of that container, of that experience, is to thank the person who's telling you no, not right now, or not yet. Thank you for taking care of yourself. Now, there's a bunch of things in our human brain that might get carried away. You know, we can take these things personal. We can think the rejection is about us. Maybe I didn't tell them enough details. Maybe I didn't sell them on the outcome or the promise. The reason why we thank these individuals for taking care of themselves leads me right into ethical standard number 2. And that is that we trust and believe that every soul that gives us a no or a yes to our sacred invitations, every soul knows what's right for them. So if somebody's saying to you, it's a not right now for me or not yet, we honor, respect, and trust that. And we receive that sacred no and thank them for taking care of themselves. As a society, I don't feel like we honor people's no's enough. And I feel like we could go a long distance to embracing that as a way of someone's self-care, and asking them to consider working with us, asking them to consider our sacred offer, sacred invitation. You know, that's a big step for us, but it's also a big step for them to lean in and feel it out through whatever their intuition guides them to do. So if you go into these situations, believing, trusting in divine synchronicity, and you receive a not yet or a no, maybe later, not right now, this isn't the best time, thank you for taking care of yourself. You are more likely to have that person swing back around to you when the timing or the alignment is better for them, because they felt trusted and they felt respected in that interaction. I'm sure you can all think of times where you weren't dealt that in the exchange of a sacred invitation. And I'm sorry that that happened, but we can do better. And it all starts with each individual, right? It starts with you, it starts with me. So I'm just going to let you marinate on that one. Those were our first 2 points. The next one, Jennifer says, it keeps the connection sacred. Yes. There is something to be said for releasing these people and trusting the process, trusting their own autonomy. But it keeps your relationship with them pure. The next conversation is about results. In the personal development industry, results are often talked about. You know, I had, this client who had this, experience, and we're blasting it out on social media. And it's got a little bit of like, look at me and look what I can do energy around it. And the divine says, and this is number 3 of importance, the divine says that our clients or our people's results are not our trophies. While it is important and it's advocated to list what other people might be experiencing, or even share a testimonial to disclose the value of a transformation, it is imperative to state that these results are up to the individual, and it's actually their party to celebrate or acknowledge. So I don't know if you've ever had someone do a massive shout out about, and it can look like a congratulations to you online. For me, the ethos around this is definitely something that I've had to work on and kind of grow through. So if you went back through my Facebook posts, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you might have actually seen me participating in these kind of these shares that are really results driven and kind of like, look at me and what I can do, energy behind it. So what I do now, I just shared not too long ago, like an invitation to a beta program that I'm offering. And what I did was I just kind of listed some of the results that some of the participants are experiencing, just so, and it was more facts driven, so that people understood what might could happen should they decide to join this program. And so there wasn't like a, you know, a massive celebration. It didn't have the energy of like, look at me and what I can do. And I definitely did state that the results are up to each individual. Because at the end of the day, it's their journey and it's their process. What we're providing is either the method, the tools, you know, the outline, and the potential. We're holding a space for what's possible. Jennifer said we are guides and it's their work. I definitely align with that line of thinking. So that brings me to being impact driven. What the divine asks of us is to be more focused around the impact, the souls that we're serving, rather than the dollars or the amount of money that we are making. And the divine asks us to be impact driven, impact focused. And so that sounds like, you know, 17 souls have been served in such and such program. 22 lives were touched during this masterclass. It sounds different and it feels different. And we're not, when we start to talk about the dollar exchanges, hierarchy starts to happen. And the new earth constructs are really not a compatible match for hierarchical systems. So one of the ways that we kind of reroute and not participate in hierarchy, where we're elevating others and we're measuring ourselves beside someone else, is we really kind of focus on, the lives that we're touching and not so much the dollars that we're making. So the next point of interest they would like for me to talk about is whether or not a client is a match or misaligned. One of the things that the divine has had me devoted totally toward, and again, it's been like 5 years now, is being of divine service. And this also moves us away from focusing on the dollars that we make, and we're more geared toward the change that we want to deliver into the world. And when we are tapped in totally to being of divine service, the truth is there are some people who are not a match to us, or they're not a match to our programs. And I haven't been focused on motivated by sales in a lot of years now. And it's one of the reasons that I've done years and years of clarity calls. I meditate before my clarity calls. Before I even get a call onto a call with someone, the divine drops in and tells me either this person is not a match or this person is a match to one or two of your programs. But I am not sales driven. I am impact focused and driven. And so what happens is you may have a client who shows up in your sphere And it might start to feel or sound like there's some misalignment. Either they thought they were getting something else when they signed up to work with you, or they were confused about the results they were getting. And the divine says, if you are questioning if a method or a client is misaligned, it probably is. And that doesn't mean anyone's at fault. There's no one to blame. The divine suggests that you just get clearer on your messaging about who this transformation or program is for, what your promises are, your pricing, and your methods. It's just an opportunity for refinement. I also do devotional practices for my ideal clients. I know the energetic avatar description of my soul aligned clients. And I have a method that I participate in where I kind of go into the astral and I send love and I send gifts and I send blessings their way. And I just really participate in this beautiful, intuitive, invitational process. And so when a soul and I match up, when we line up, whether I meet him or her on a call or we bump into each other, whether it's on the internet or out in the world somewhere, there is this automatic, like, there's usually synchronicity that happens. A lot of my potential clients dream about me, which is funny. I think it's because a lot of the energetic astral work that I do. But a lot of people have dream visits from me. But what happens is we feel like we know each other. We feel like we almost recognize each other. And that could also be part of like the whole soul contract thing. Just knowing that we were destined or aligned to work together. Yeah, but trust your gut, trust your guidance if you feel like something's off. And what I like to say around that is when I was going through my really big up level in devoting myself to being of divine service, it meant that I had to let some people go from my programs or packages who were not the right fit for me or the offer. With no penalties or cost. I just honored the gift that their presence was in my life, and we both chose to part ways, not harboring any resentment. It's nobody's fault. It's just recognizing it is what it is. And I would go through a refinement process on who my soulmate avatar is. It means I go back into the lab and I kind of update. There might be some details that I left out when I was kind of calling them in to my world. All right. We are more than halfway through, so I'm really curious to see what your guys' questions might be. If this has got your brains percolating or your heart responding. The divine asks us to see every transaction, every relationship that we have as a code exchange. I talk about this a lot. Every time we work with someone, it's an opportunity to learn and experience. We have these opportunities not only in work, but in all factors, all areas of our life. And the divine asks us to really pay attention to the people in our orbit and really lean in, look harder and go deeper and really ask yourself, what is this person or experience offering me? I'd like to share just a little story around this because I had a really interesting experience that I feel like pairs well in here. So as a divine channel, I hold a monthly like mentorship circle, our spirit circles. And we did this really cool thing last month in celebration of my birthday. I offered like a bring a friend, bring a plus one for free kind of opportunity. And somebody's plus one came into our circle, and the channel transmission and activations were very much around divine abundance and receiving support for big gifts and big surprises. And I had a conversation before we even started that in our circle, it's a code exchange. You know, everybody here is here to participate and offer and share something, as well as take and receive some things. And so one of the gifts that I received out of that spirit circle is we ended up having a woman who self-proclaimed herself to be a millionaire. And I thought, oh my goodness, how fun this is, you know, to have that kind of energy and inspiration join us. She's a very lovely woman, very lovely soul. And the divine had us participate in this activity where we were guided to imagine that we were holding a winning lottery ticket. And the divine asked us to feel what that feels like, to be holding on to and discover that you've just won. You're holding the winning lottery ticket. And the divine asked us to carry that presence with us to summon more blessings and opportunities to us. So when we shared afterward in the circle different experience and insights that we had received, this woman said that where mine was glee, mine was excited, like my experience with the lottery ticket was like, yippee, like I was so excited that I won. The millionaire woman across from me, her response to that winning lottery ticket was, of course I did. Of course I did. And I felt like that. I felt like I totally received that really interesting code exchange from her. It felt like a little bit of copy paste went on there. So I had a couple of opportunities in the weeks that followed to have that kind of like, of course I did moment when I was in the celebration of something. So just going back and repeating the divine's guidance to look at every experience that you have, the people in your real life, the people in your online world, in your sacred circles. Look at it, whether they're paying you or not, look at it as a code exchange. Everyone is here you have the opportunity to receive. They can offer you something. Yeah, and I really enjoy looking at the world around me through those lenses. It's really opened me up to look at people differently. So play with that and see how you feel about it. One of the next points of interest that the divine would like for me to talk about is trust. And I mentioned this slightly earlier. The divine gave me a really interesting like analogy or metaphor for it. Whether it's your gut, your guidance, your intuition, the divine says any internal nudges are a sign or a signal of something to explore. Doesn't always have to mean something bad, but it could indicate to look deeper, to lean in. And the divine shared that it was kind of like the dash panel on your car. And when you have a sensor light up or signal something, it tells you that something may be amiss or needs to be explored. So really lean into that. I know in the world of personal development, people can be so focused on the outcome, the goal line, that they miss all of those signals on the dash panel. And in the spiritual development world, my reflection around that is that sometimes we can be so love and light so focused on the good and the great that we might dismiss when something feels off. So in all areas, whatever space or place you show up and serve or participate in, really pay attention and trust those signals on your dash panel. They've been given to you. They've been divinely assigned for your good and for a reason. And the last point of interest the divine asked me to share with you all in this conversation is around having expectations, judgment, guilt, or discriminations toward your clientele or even toward other people around you. The divine says that they are ineffective methods for mentorship, and they will eventually push someone out the door. Our clients love to feel heard, valued, and appreciated. And I'll be honest with you, back in the early days of my mentorship, I was pretty rigid, and I've learned that I had kind of unrealistic expectations. I'm a teacher at heart, and some of the programs, especially in my early days, they had a very lot of modules to learn. They had a process that you had to go through, like A, B, C. And I feel like sometimes I was kind of like cracking the whip or carrying these clients up the stairwell. And the reality was I kind of overfilled some of my transformations and programs. And unless you devoted yourself to only doing some of my early programs, just pretty much that, there really wasn't any time for life. And there wasn't a lot of joy in the journey. If you participated in my early programs, hey Thomas, thank you for joining us. It's good to see you. So, this version of who I was back in the early days of providing mentorship, I had a lot of expectations around my clients, and sometimes I would call them out or call them up and say, hey, if you don't participate in A, B, C, or D, I can't promise you the end point, the full value of this transformation. And in some ways, these conversations were necessary. There's a smidge of boundary setting in it, and I was being truthful. But if I'm giving myself the reality check, I think it was too much, too fast, too harsh, and some of those clients walked away from the transformation, and it was over full with curriculum. So some of us parted ways and haven't worked together since. Thankfully, I feel like the divine kind of caught me and kind of reined me in and had me do a thorough inventory. And a lot of those people have still stuck it out with me. But in the early days, I was a bit of a soldier march kind of. I call it the general. I was a little too much of that, and that's not fun. Like, nobody wants to hang out with that. So just sharing the divine's guidance again. Any discriminations, judgment, or guilt are pretty ineffective and will most likely push your potential clients, if they see you practicing in these behaviors online, or if you're participating in them, role modeling that behavior in your programs, you're most likely going to push someone out the door. So, I'll just do like a quick overview for those of you who might be just jumping on. I love sharing these. I feel like they're so important, and I really wish we were having these conversations more and more. So you have to let me know if you feel like this is resonating and it's relevant for you. So number one that we went over was around sharing our sacred offers, sharing our sacred invitations. How do we respond when we receive a sacred no, a not right now, no thank you, not yet? The attitude, the presence we want to show up with is thank you for taking care of yourself. You're so welcome, Jennifer. The second one is trusting and believing. And this is why we say thank you for taking care of yourself, because we're trusting and believing that every soul knows what's right for them. The third one is around our clients' results are not our trophies. While it's important and it's very advocated that you share what the results, what someone's experience might be in working with you, it's really it's up to our clients whether or not they want to acknowledge or celebrate. And also the results are always according to the individual. The next one I want to point out is that the divine asks us to focus on divine service and being impact driven instead of revenue or sales driven. And when we are impact driven, that sounds and feels like the lives that we touched, the number of souls that we've served, not dollars earned. I'm so glad this is resonating for you, Thomas. The next point of interest is if you are questioning whether a method or a client is misaligned, the divine says it probably is. And blame isn't necessary, doesn't mean there's any faults here. The divine just suggests that you get clear on your messaging about what it is, who it's for, your promises, your pricing, and your methods. Thomas says impact will bring abundance as one needs it. Yeah, I definitely, for me, the tool, what helped create structure for me around that was totally devoting myself to being of divine service. That really changed the game for me, and that does steer us into the direction of being more impact driven than sales driven. When you're sales driven, you'll sell to anybody and you don't care whether or not they get the results. You're just focused on the amount of sales that you've achieved. That kind of drive means you're going to have a lot more refunds required. And knock on wood, my I'm nervous to even say it. People don't usually ask me for refunds. I'm really clear about what it is. The divine helps me price my stuff appropriately, and my messaging and my methods are really clear. So I don't have that issue. It's super rare. The next point of interest is the divine asks us to see every transaction and relationship as a code exchange, and encourages us to lean in and go deeper and asking, like, what is this person or experience offering me? And the next point of interest is trust your gut and your guidance. And that's where the divine suggested that our internal guidance system is similar to a dashboard on a car. And pay attention if you've got lights coming on or sounds, things buzzing, lean in. And the other one is about expectations and judgment and guilt. And discriminations are ineffective tools in your methods or processes, and actually push current clients or potential clients away. So I have this little disclaimer that I would like to share. The divine asked me to mention this around these standards. There's no shames or shoulds around these practices. Again, I kind of go under the philosophy that when we know better, we do better. And I assume if other people are participating in like comparison or hierarchy or sales driven, they just haven't stumbled across these standards yet, and they haven't like sworn an allegiance to them like I have. I have not always conducted myself according to these standards. This is where my goals lie, and my story is that I'm constantly striving to meet these ethical standards, to be a role model for them or a teacher around them. What happens when we make mistakes is it's important to make apologies when we have these missteps, and acknowledging our error. It's the fastest way to tie into the wavelength that you're striving for around these standards. So if you find or meet someone else out in the world who is not upholding these standards, you may decide that they're not a good match for you to work with. And also, we're all works in progress. Judging by the comments, you guys are right in alignment with this part of the conversation. It could be that somewhere out there in the world stumbles across this line of thinking at some point and in their own development process, and they may choose or decide to do it differently. There are lots of ways to serve, and these are the ones I choose to live by and teach to my soul family. So I'm a big proponent of these methods. And yeah, I would love to answer any questions that you have around them. I saw a big comment shoot up at some point, so I'm going to go back and read that. Thomas says, in the beginning we have the drive and sense that we can help all and everyone willing. Yeah, I remember that phase of my journey. Eventually we learn we can only open the door and they have to walk through, and that's a lesson we have to learn, and it's okay if they stay behind. Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'll add on to that line of thinking, because it was something that I had to embrace as a divine channel, as a spirit messenger. I'm literally employed to give people messages. And in the beginning of being employed in that way, I didn't understand why people didn't have an experience or receive a message from me and then have a turning point. Like why their stuff didn't change. And what I came to understand, because I've been doing this for over a decade now, what I came to understand is, as a messenger, and I acknowledge and receive and love that I am, as a messenger, I may be like one of 5, 6, 7 signposts that someone may cross paths with before they decide a change is even necessary. So it was really important for me to kind of like take myself out of this like administrator role or whatever, and making myself, I don't know, responsible for the decisions that other people might make, and just realize I may be one of 1,000 messengers, and ultimately it's up to each individual in their journey. So the divine asked me to open this up for questions, and I'm here to do that. Thomas says, I love the signpost metaphor. Yeah, it's really about like, giving the guidance and letting go. Really just trusting that there's a bigger divine plan, there's a bigger divine process at play. And I even changed my language around it. I noticed myself using the word suggestion, because I look at the divine almost like friends, and our friends sometimes offer us advice. And if our friends are allowing us to explore the world and have our own experience, and their hands are off our journey, they're trusting us, then it's just a suggestion. So I even use that more than advice when I'm sharing messages with a foundation in love. Yeah. And Jennifer says seeds. Yeah. I had a really beautiful, that reminds me, I had a really beautiful interaction with Gaia right around the new year, where we had a conversation about like what my soul is here for, like what is the yeah, what is like the reason for my being. um, and it was literally to plant seeds. Like I'm a cosmic soul planter, cosmic seed planter, sorry, cosmic seed planter. So it's really funny that you would mention that. And Jennifer says the verbiage is important, being mindful and intentional and always manifesting. Yeah, always speaking into existence, quantum too. Definitely. Um, yeah, I'm so glad that you're receiving that. So it's interesting, the divine asked me to open this up for questions around standards. So I would love to invite you, if you have a situation or a challenge or a complication that you're dealing with, I would love to invite you to participate even in the live stream or the replay. If you want to give me a little blurb around it, I'm happy to tune in with the divine's guidance in response to that. Because I think sometimes we need examples for our brain to really like latch on to an idea. The idea and the theory is great, right? But the practical application, because we are humans and we can be messy sometimes. So if you have an issue or area where you're like, okay, Ty, but what does this look like? And as I said, I have released clients from contracts when I have identified that there's misalignment. That's part of me being of divine service. And what I will share is whenever that has happened, the divine has shown up before the release of that client with the funds. So when I'm tuned into being of divine service and saying, okay, babe, I recognize you and I are not a match, or this is not what you thought it was, I'm willing to release. The divine always takes care of me financially, so I don't experience a dip when I release clients due to misalignment. Yeah, so that might be interesting for you to stick in your pocket. So let me know if you have any questions. I would love to tune in around these ethical practice standards for you. And then I'm just going to share. New Earth Magic School is the place that I am, a space that I am the co-founder of. And we're teaching these standards to empaths, psychics, healers. And if you would like to be an ethically trained psychic or an intuitive mentor, our programs would be the right fit for you. We have lots of different financing options available to make our opportunities comfortable and available to most people. And if anything here resonates with you and you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to book a call to discuss. Jennifer says, words are huge. Yeah, I believe that we're spell casting constantly. Whether it's our thoughts, our default programming, the things that we're saying. Lately, I've been playing with words at night, doing self-love and or money rants. So that's been really interesting to kind of play with, and then wake up to the divine's games and blessings during the day around that. So I totally participate and believe in that faithfully. All right. So this took a lot less time than I thought it would. I thought we'd be on here a bit longer. So I'm just going to tune into the divine and see if there's anything else they would like for me to share with all of you. Okay. They want me to touch base on one more thing, and I mentioned it in the beginning. Okay. They're saying that some of you are kind of ripe and ready to transform your kind of like very 3D business processes to a more intentional style business. And you'll want to keep your eye out for mine and Jane's program that'll become available, I think, around September. And it's called Love and Legacy. And it's the new Earth Biz Converter. And it will help you kind of flip toward these new Earth standards in your entire business and really set you up for success with divine reciprocity, where you're totally being of service to the people that you love, care about, and nurture and can grow with. Aw, Jennifer said, for anyone thinking of participating with Ty, it's always lovely energy. Thank you. Nice received. I appreciate you so much. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to sign off. This is me tithing my time and talents to our lovely community, and I hope that you'll check out some of the upcoming speakers. We've got quite the lineup. Thomas is going to be going live, I think, next Tuesday with, what is it, Thomas? The history of healing modalities, something like this. I saw the description of it and I was totally in love. The evolution of healing modalities, I think that's what it is. And his description was fantastic. And Thomas is a divine channel also, so I'm looking forward to participating myself and seeing all the great things that Thomas is going to be sharing. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad that you're appreciating those. We've got some really dynamic people for May coming as well. I'm excited to be sharing more about that. So thank you for being part of my soul family. I'm so grateful, and I always love hanging out with you guys. So I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Thank you so much for checking out this video today. Be sure to like the video, share, subscribe to my channel. And if you really had a wonderful experience on this video, I invite you to share your reflections in the comments section. I love reading those. And if you would like to explore some more of my juicy magic and medicine, please visit my website at newearthmagicschool.com and register for my email list. I've got some things that you're going to love exploring. And if you would like to join our wonderful safe space on Facebook, we have a beautiful community called Be Your Own Guru. Until next time, bye-bye.